Hello and welcome to Down the Slope. I'm Euan, and as ever, I'm joined by Greig and Liam. Unfortunately, Harry's not been able to join us as of yet. He's been held up with work commitments, but hopefully he'll be able to join us some way through the podcast. So let's just get straight into it. Scottish Cup on Monday night. Job done. Liam, what did you make of the game?
I think we covered a bit of this in quick bang, just in terms of the start. We didn't start the game particularly well. It was pretty competitive for the first half an hour. I think we looked like a team who had not played any football in 16 days. And I think we just took a little bit of a while for us to get to grips with the way Queen and South were playing. Then I think from kind of 30 minutes or so onwards, I thought we played really well. There was some good, fluent phases of football, particularly the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half. We had them penned in and were knocking the ball about. It was great to watch, actually. Played some really good stuff on. We're going to kind of talk about it because everyone else is talking about it. A pitch that is really not the standard we would expect by the looks of things. All in all, a really good performance, certainly for sort of a 50, 60 minute period. I thought we were really, really good. Lots to be encouraged about. I think quality of opposition, I think, they're not a bad championship side, but I think we've all kind of talked about it at length that it's maybe not the greatest kind of standard this season, the championship. Pleased to get through to the next round. So ultimately that's all you can ask, but also pleased, I think, with the performance, because I think it was a really decent performance for a large spell of the game. Yeah,
definitely. And Greg, not to get off on a negative foot, but something that you've maybe highlighted quite a lot this season is our slow starts in games. Did you actually think we started that slowly on Monday night, or was it just a case of sort of settling into the game? And obviously Queen and South were obviously trying to get a fast start, and what did you think we were that bad in opening? And sort of, I'm saying half an hour, but I don't even know if it was that long, maybe like 15, 20 minutes, because even Boyle probably had the best chance early doors.
I think they started really quickly, and it maybe took us a wee bit to adapt to the pitch, and as Liam said, the pitch is shocking, so it took us a bit of time to adapt to that. I don't necessarily think it was a slow start. I think we're just trying to find our way into the game, and they were really coming at us from the off, so it was difficult to try and stamp our authority on it, kind of let them have their wee spell, and then from then on we totally bossed it. And yeah, I don't think we could ask for any more, other than a couple more goals perhaps. But yeah, I certainly think that the way we played on Monday was professional, I would say, when you're playing a team in the division below. On form, to be fair, so they've had a good couple of weeks. So yeah, I think a lot of people maybe seen that as a potential to be an upset, but very professional.
The reason it's picked for the TV, isn't there? Like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What stood out for you for Hibs? Maybe towards the end of the first half, then when we got the goal, I would say we were definitely on top. What were the sort of main changes? Did you notice any changes maybe in the last 5-10 minutes of the first half as opposed to the opening periods of the game?
I felt like players were trying to pick up pockets of space. I know that Irvin drifted out wide a couple of times, and he played a nice ball over for Boyle that was saved. I just think we're very fluid in the midfield. Not a lot of holding the position. We were moving about, we were passing it. It was very quick and slick, and I think that's what we had to do to kind of pull them out a wee bit to get space in behind. So I certainly think that the way that we went about the game is we adapted from the start of the game. And through the first half, we adapted very well to the conditions, and also the way that Queen and the South were set up and gave ourselves an excellent platform to go on and win the game.
Intensity is one of those things that's really hard to define. Like there was a level of intensity that we seemed to find somewhere, but it's hard to finger point exactly how that happens in a game sometimes. But there's just sometimes a moment in a game where the game switches, and I couldn't pinpoint the moment that happened on Monday night, but there did seem to just be a raising of the tempo at a certain point. And I don't know if it was maybe the manager shouting and barking on the touchline, because I think he was audibly not too impressed with the first sort of 20-25 minutes of the game. And we seemed to find something in that first half that just made us up the gears slightly. And it was noticeable when we came out the second half. As soon as we got possession, it was like, right, let's get the ball into space. And when we get in a position to shoot, let's shoot. It was good to see that, because we've not done that a lot this season.
I think there was an interesting comment made, and maybe it was just towards the end of the first half. I think obviously the weather was horrible in the first half, and I think they said that Hibs were pretty much playing into it in the first half, and then the weather did look to calm down in the second half. But I don't know maybe if that does impact it in terms of stupid things like, but if you've got the wind behind you, you know what I mean, like, because like you say, I think there was, especially at the start of the second half, there was a visible difference in terms of getting in the Queen of the South. We were winning, so generic, but like winning second balls. Like Queen of the South were really struggling to get out. The ball was coming to midfield. Gogic was picking up balls. The centre halves were stepping up and picking up any clearances and really like sustaining the attacks is what I think. I think that's the most important thing when you go to play a lower league team is, okay, like when you're going forward, but don't give them breathing space. And it felt at the start of the second half, obviously we scored before half time, but we kept on going. Like it felt like we were, like you're saying, having a shot every couple of minutes, like getting crosses into the box. Josh Doig was really quiet in the first half, but like really, really busy in the second half. But obviously just before half time we got the goal. Doig got his first goal of two. At the time it was his second in 2 games. We've mentioned it enough times throughout the season that it felt like we were saying it for months that if he can just get one, then everyone and their dog knows that Christian Doig is streaky. We've seen it last season, and hopefully that's us starting to see it again. Just how big do you think these 2 goals on the back of the Livingston game, because obviously with international break it could have stopped that, but that's 3 goals in 2 games now. Do you think just how big an impact could he have on the team for the rest of the season, obviously in the split in the cup campaign?
Massive. I think to have a guy that puts in the level of work that he gets through and he's scoring goals, I think is a massive contributor for the team. I'd like to see us continue to play 2 up top for the rest of the season. I'm not obsessive about it in the way that I think we must play 2 up top, but I think with those 2 players that we've got, we get the best out of both of them if they're played in a 2. So I'd like to see that continue irrespective of the opposition. And I would like us to, I think we found a system, and I said a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't sure if that Gogic, Newell, Irvine sort of trio in midfield worked. But it did on Monday night. It worked a treat. So I would like to kind of see us stick with a bit of a settled team as much as possible for at least the next few games. And Doig's goals, could be massive because we're scoring goals right now, and the teams that we're competing with aren't scoring goals. So that is a real fill-up for us.
Yeah, again, Greg, it's obviously something during the international break we were speaking about Christian Doig and saying, does he score enough goals? Does he not score enough goals? But that's him into double figures again this season. I think is it 10 in all competitions. So you're looking at Martin Boyle, Kevin Nisbet, and Christian Doig all scoring double figures this season. I don't want to say anything, but at the start of the season I did say that Nisbet and Doig would combine for over 30 goals this season. So that's looking pretty good. Go back and listen to that in the first episode. But do you think, like Liam said, if Doig does, when he gets the goals, the odd goal here and there, it gets people off his back for the other work that he does, because it's so obvious what he brings to the team, but maybe sometimes you can get a bit clouded when he's not scoring goals, because obviously ultimately that is what a striker's judged on.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to look at things after the game, and if he goes on a run where he's not scoring, then certainly it gets picked up, because it is frustrating. But it's 10 goals in all competitions. He's not exactly an out-and-out striker. But the work he does off the ball to create the chances or create openings is very impressive, and he's almost like the battering ram. He's the guy that takes the hits. He's the guy that does the dirty work to allow Nisbet, Boyle and other players to get shots on goal and score goals. So I think he's hit a form at the right time. 5 league games left. We can definitely rely on him. I think especially this weekend will be massive. I'd be more than happy to see 2 up top. I think we play better when we do play with 2 up top. So yeah, I would like to see us continue that trend on. Yeah.
And just as obviously when we moved into the second half of the game on Monday night, there was Jackson Irvine looked a lot further forward. Maybe obviously said towards the end of the second half, the end of the first half. Sorry, he'd started picking up pockets of space, maybe sort of on the sort of right channel and linking up with Martin Boyle. But he looked almost like I think it was referenced on the commentary. He was almost playing like a third striker, and that really freed up space for Joe Newell and Gogic as well at times to push forward. Just how good was that sort of trio, Liam, that sort of pivot in the middle of the park? I know you mentioned on it. Do you think by releasing Irvine, that almost in turn frees up Gogic and Newell to actually almost just play as that two that they had done almost all season to that point?
I like that as a 3 because this is me obviously talking in hindsight now, but I like that as a theory because I don't think it's as sort of binary as all three of them are kind of fixed in one position. So I thought what you saw quite a few times on Monday night was because you've got three centre backs, Gogic was able to come forward with the ball at various different points in time. Newell was able to play further forward. Irvin was picking up all kinds of space wide in the box, making some of those late runs, and being in positions where he could dictate the play. I don't think it's a system that we need you guys who are very much kind of set to hold in one spot on the park. I think there's been a lot of talk since Monday, and probably, to be fair, since before Monday, about getting a system that allows Joe Newell to play a little bit further forward, because that's where he can be more of an influence. And I think we saw bits of that again on Monday night. But I think people, this kind of football manager generation, have got really fixated on people playing specific roles in a midfield. Number
60s, number 10s, number 8s,
And I just don't think you need that. And I also think there's an element of that becomes hugely predictable for the opposition. If you have got one guy who's just going to make the runs all the time, actually, I like to see different players going forward. You know, I wouldn't want 9 times out of 10 Alex Gogic to be the man that gets the ball on the edge of the box and shoot. But actually, you know, for him to do that every now and again is okay. I like an element of unpredictability about my teams, essentially, is what I'm saying. I think that midfield three allows us that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me with they three players that you're playing in the middle of the park just now, I totally agree with what you're saying. You don't want to pigeonhole them in. They're not Scott. None of them are a Scott Allen. That you're very much like, right, he's a number 10. But you would like Gogic is maybe what you would say the destroyer, and he'll cut balls off. And I seen a stat the other day that him and Paul Hanlon are in the top, I think 8 or something for interceptions in league games this season, and that's very much what Gogic has been brought in to provide. But he's very much an athlete, the same way that Jackson Irvine and Joe Newell are. They're more than capable of going box to box. So why would you want to restrict them? And it's like we want Joe Newell to push forward, but then Joe Newell does a lot of his best work sort of taking the balls off the centre halves. And it's an interesting one. And I think like you have both touched on, there does seem to be an element of freedom in there. Like Jackson Irvine definitely had the most license to roam. I'm desperate for him to score a goal. I'm absolutely desperate for. I don't know about you, but I'm desperate for him to score a goal. And on the subject of scoring goals, I know Joe Newell tried to pass 2 into the net the other night, but they didn't really annoy me as much as they normally do. Like, I felt like on both occasions it was probably the right option, but I was just like, just fucking hit one of these. Like, was there a point in the second half, Greg? Maybe especially when Shields is playing up front for
Connor Shields
went through 1-on-1 with Matt Macy, where you're a bit like, fuck, like we've been well on top here and we've not scored yet. Obviously, it was a really good save from Macy, but at that point, did that worry you? Obviously, we got the 2 goals really quickly after that, but were you a bit like, shit?
Not really, because you kind of expect him to come out and have a go. I think the goalie is there to do a job. If somebody gets through the defence, then the goalie's there. So it was a smart save from Macy. I wasn't overly concerned, though, because that was really their first attack in the second half. So, yeah, and then we went up and scored 2 quick goals. So, yeah, I wasn't overly concerned at that point anyway. But, yeah. I think
he has been somewhat prolific in one-on-ones against Edinburgh football clubs, hasn't he, Connor Shields?
Maybe against the smaller clubs, mate. Against the big boys, like he wasn't any match.
I think the commentator said could he taken in a bit earlier, but he took it really early, and for me that almost makes it a better save for Macy, because Macy's still coming out. You know what I mean? He's not even really set himself at that point. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's a save he should make, but when you've not really had anything to do the full game, to come out and at the end of the day, whether you should or not, you've still got to make it. It's a crucial save. It's like when Christian Doyle is running through 1-on-1, he should score, but he still has to score. Like, and
we've seen that before, so I really wasn't sure when he ran through. I was like, "Oh, where's he going?"
There was a bit where it was like, I could see us, because like he was running through, and Nisbet was like really close to him, and I was like, "See if he passes this, we are gonna fuck it." Like the cutback was not on, but there was a bit of me like, he's gonna pass this. He's gonna I'm glad he shot. Like it was not on, but there was a bit of me like was like, and not even because I thought he'd fuck a 1-on-1. It was like I thought he'd be just unselfish and try and pass it, and I'd be like, that's gonna end fucking terribly.
I think he's playing with a bit of confidence though. I don't think he ever loses confidence, to be honest. I think he's always very confident in his own ability in the game he plays. So, look, he took it well, to be fair, and
do you think maybe we need to start giving him a bit more credit for his finishing ability? Obviously, you look at that goal, you look at the goal he scored at Motherwell. They're not, you know what I mean? I don't. He's not just scored.
It's so easy just to snatch at and try and blast it, but he's placed it in the corner when there's three boys on the line. So it's a composed finish, and the second one is as well. So I think his finishing maybe at times hasn't been great. I mean, even when he scored, go back to the 3-1 game we won against Motherwell. Jack Ross's first game, it was going wide for 3 yards out, and thankfully Declan Gallagher was there. But I think, look, we've all done it. So I think he is good at finishing. He is good in the air, despite that attempt in the first half where he tried to almost knock it on. But
do we reference your message in the?
I told him to pack it in. I wasn't sure what he was doing. But look, he silenced me, and I'm very happy to accept that I was wrong on that one.
And Liam, I'm going to take this off of Greig now. I know that Greig would love to sit and watch Liverpool about this, but how good was Joe Newell in the second half on Monday night?
Joe Newell is just the prime example of why you never write off a player early on in his career. I watched him one of his first games, maybe his first game actually, in a League Cup game against Stirling Albion under Heckingbottom.
Yep.
I think we drew 1-1, but we won the penalty shootout.
Penalties,
He played in the left wing, and I turned to the mate I was with that day and I said, he's never going to be good enough for Hibs. He's never going to be good enough at this level. And I judged him on probably not even 90 minutes that he played that day. But he's quite clearly not a left winger because he doesn't really have a trick. He doesn't really have any pace. He's quite clearly a central midfielder. And I think I'm probably not the only Hibs fan that he's proven wrong in his time. He was superb in the second half. Just everything he touched, the through ball. I've watched that. It was Scotty Allen-esque. I've watched it so many times, and it gets better every time you watch it. He was really, really, really good on Monday night. And actually, he's had a few performances like this season where actually he's been the best player on the pitch by a distance.
The performance that really stands out for me for Joe Newell this season is actually the same fixture that we've got at the weekend. Rangers away at Christmas time. I know we obviously came out on the 1-0 defeat, but even like my sort of Rangers supporting mates and stuff, they were like, he's superb. Like, and I mean, for a Hunt to say someone else is good, like that takes a lot. Like, and he dominated that game, and I think exactly what you're saying. I remember in the first game of the season last season was at St Mirren. We scored late on. Scott Allen scored, and he played on the left side. And I thought he'd done okay. I thought he'd done all right. And if he does beat a player, it's very much through his body movement, feints and stuff. He's not a type that's going to skip past a player. And again, maybe a wee bit like Scott Allen, because Scott Allen's no lightning quick either. He does a lot of his work with feints and stuff like that. But it was the game away. And when you look at his performance at Ibrox at Christmas to the game that literally got him bombed at Hibs at the start of last season, Rangers away, it's night and day. And I think he knows that as well. You've seen that when he signed his new contract, the post I think it was on social media, or was it an interview or something. But Greg, let's let you talk, because you're number one in the Joe Newell fan club. Talk to me.
I think looking back to that St Mirren game, it was difficult for him. I think he said himself he's not really a left winger, he's not got the pace for it. But even playing against a decent championship side, he still looks head and shoulders above everyone else on that pitch. The vision, the movement, he's not even 1 or 2 steps ahead of everyone else, he's 3 or 4. He sees the game before it happens, and just honestly, I could talk all night about how good he is, but he genuinely is unbelievable, and it's massive that we signed him a new deal. Just unbelievable. If he could add a couple more goals to his game, then that'd be perfect. But he does so much already for us, and his contribution is massive for us.
Yeah, and obviously, so we got the 2 goals, and then Queen of the South obviously scored their sort of consolation goal that was very much.
We were just queuing up to score. That's what Gogic was on the edge of the box trying to get a shot off, and
That's was actually just Gogic was literally at the byline at the other end of the park, and they've just skipped through it. And Paul Hanlon's been getting a lot of criticism for it, but what's he supposed to do? Take him out, get sent off. You're 3-0 up. Like, what's the point? Like,
sometimes it's not worth the hassle of trying to take the boy. Sometimes it's like, right, fair enough. He's
like, it just don't look. It doesn't look great when you get nutmegged. Yeah. But it can happen, and if you're gonna really analyse it and pinpoint things, then why is Paul Hanlon being left 1-on-1 in that situation? Yeah. Anyway, we had the ball 2 minutes before that. Like it was very much similar to the goal that we conceded away at St Mirren, where we 2-0 up that night. St Mirren away when Obika scored, and mine just one long ball in behind us, I think. And again, a criticism that was put at the footage at Rossi's door early in the season was, can Hibs manage games? I think we can manage games, and I think that's a Mirren game, and even on Monday night, that's maybe just been the example of, right, no, okay, like, you get the win and just see the game out. Obviously, on Monday night, it didn't come back to cost us, though. And Stranraer away in the Cup next, Liam, and then if we beat Stranraer, you've got Motherwell or Morton at home. So there's two potential, well, first off, you need to beat Stranraer, but two potential pretty winnable ties you would like to think between us and, well, a fourth semi-final in a row in terms of cup competitions. Celtic and Rangers getting drawn against each other. Is it the first time that you've not wanted them to get each other in the Scottish Cup before semi-final, final stage?
So it's a tough one. I had kind of mixed emotions about that, as Billy Brown would say. It's tough because it gives us a clearer path to win the tournament. Yeah, it clears a path to win the tournament. But obviously, I think third place was the objective at the beginning of the season. Certainly the objective now, and you'd want just reward for finishing third place. So it's a really tricky one. What I would like to see is just us do as much as we can and take care of our end of the bargain. So go away to Stranraer, win that game. But Stranraer beat a really good Brora Rangers team, so they're not. They also beat
and Brora Rangers. They beat like a pretty good team before that, no? Like, just to get to the Stranraer.
I wouldn't say pretty good. Some folk would have believed they're
just a massive. I thought
it's a top four squad. Top four squad. I think is the words I've used.
And then by default, if Stranraer can beat Brora, who can beat a top 4 team, then Stranraer will have our number. Then we're fucked. Stranraer must be like top 2.
They must be. To be honest, I'm not going to pretend to be knowledgeable about Stranraer. I know they play at Stair Park. Stranraer won the championship or Division 1 when Hibs were down there in 99, 2000. I'm pretty sure we went through there and scudded them. I can't remember the score, 3 or 4-0 or something. That's literally all I know about Stranraer. So let's just take care of them, and then potentially Motherwell or Morton in the next round. And that, to be honest, is our draw to get to the semi-final of the Scottish Cup is a pretty good run of games. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And Greg, obviously, like we mentioned there, obviously Celtic and Rangers have got each other in the next round, but Aberdeen and Livingston also play each other, which is another. Obviously, it's going to be 2 top 6 teams that are going to be out of the competition. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think St Johnstone have got a sort of high-end championship team. It might even be Inverness, or that might be St Mirren. But it's like the draw. I don't think the draw could have been any better from a Hibs point of view of if we want to go and win the cup. I'm going to pose this question to you without us. Like, we don't want people to cast us up saying one game at a time and that. But just how much would you be shiting yourself if Hibs were in the Scottish Cup final against, say, I don't know, St Mirren, knowing that you win the Scottish Cup and you're guaranteed European group stage football, or you lose it and you get Europa League Conference second round? I don't think it's worth it. I'd honestly rather just go Celtic or Rangers, just beat them, and I'll just sit and watch. Like, I don't think I could deal with that. I mean, obviously I'd rather Hibs win the final, but yeah, fuck it, it'd be hard. Like, it's too much riding on that for me. What about you? The silence.
I think if you were in a position of third and weren't in the Scottish Cup, then we'd much rather see Celtic and Rangers play each other in the final. But yeah, I think we should just try and do everything we can to win the tournament. I'm not gonna say anything else.
Positive mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, look, on our day we can pass teams to death. So yeah, I'm gonna be positive, and I'm gonna expect us to do all we can to win the tournament and not rely on anyone else.
Superb.
And yes, I'm not sore ass for sitting on the fence.
Right, so let's park the Scottish Cup just now, and obviously the Stranraer game is next weekend. We've got a league game before that. We're away to Rangers on Sunday. We kickstart the last 5 league games of the season. I think we've been pretty good value against Rangers so far this season in the 3 games. We've obviously only taken 1 point, but in that opening game of the season when we played them, I would say that the draw was probably the fair result. We had a couple of decent chances, but we came from behind, and obviously Boyd scored late on, and Marciano made a really good double save at 3-1. Game at Ibrox at Christmas time, I think we were more than worth a draw. Obviously, you don't get anything for let's not take our chances. And then game at Easter Road more recently, well,
that was a difficult week, and we'll leave it there.
Well, certain refereeing decisions went against us as well. But Liam, just how confident are you of maybe going to Ibrox and getting something? Because let's be honest, Rangers are a level above everyone in this league. They're unbeaten for a reason. We might not like it, but do you think we've got a chance at the weekend?
Managers always say that luck evens itself out over the course of the season, don't they? So if luck was to even itself out in the fixtures against Rangers this season, I think we deserve an away win at the weekend, in all honesty, because I think we've taken 1 point and we should have had much more than that. So, look, if we go and play like we did for 50 minutes on Monday night and play with that intensity and pin their full-backs back and just have a real go at them, I think we've got every chance of getting a result on Sunday. I'd actually say I probably feel more confident now the way that we're playing than I did going into the game Boxing Day, and I think we've been playing relatively well in the run up to that. So I really fancy us to get a result of some kind on Sunday. I don't know what it will be, but I think we'll score. And the Rangers haven't conceded many goals. How many goals have they conceded at home? Something like 3 or 4 goals this season in the league. It's ridiculous.
It's
record.
Crazy. We're gonna. I think if we're going to win, we're going to have to keep a clean sheet. I think. I don't think we will, but I think if we're going to win, we might have to keep a clean sheet. Just if you look at the laws of that, look at how if you base it off. But fuck it.
Well, we're due a couple of penalties, so maybe we'll get a couple of penalties. Maybe Brother Madden will slip us a couple of penalties.
Greg, what about you? Confident?
Absolutely, I think we should be. The games between us and Rangers have been very even this season. Like, as Liam says, luck evens itself out. I think we deserve a win against them, if I'm honest. We're the only team that's really given them a game. So, yeah, I think we should be confident to play a game that suits us. We can maybe sit in a wee bit more, play wing backs to push Tavernier and Barisic back like we done on Boxing Day. So, yeah, I'm confident. I don't think we even need to keep a clean sheet. I think I'll save my score for the prediction, but I think we'll score more than 1 goal.
And would you so for me, like, I'm thinking about this from the team that we played on Boxing Day. Martin Boyle obviously played up front with Kevin Nisbet at the time, with Josh Doig. In fact, did we go with a flat 4 at Boxing Day then, or who did we have at right wing back? Because Boyle started up top. But Boyle definitely started down the middle, because mind, had that chance after about 5 seconds. But my question is, would you go with the same team that played Queen of the South? Maybe obviously probably Marciano will come back and goals. Jack Ross has said that. Would that be your team, or would you maybe look to maybe get a Cadden in at wing back and maybe move Boyle down the middle? Or would you have any changes, Liam?
It was Dre Wright that started right wing back right. Boxing Day, the forgotten man himself.
Actually, I think I actually thought he played okay. Actually, I think on Boxing Day.
He did well in the 2-2 game against Rangers at Easter Road. I think those were probably his 2 best performances, fun enough. Would I make any changes? I've just talked about consistency of selection, so I would be completely wrong on make any changes. Yeah. So I'll say stick with the team. I think on form at the moment, one change I think that Ross will be considering is Cadden for McGinn, but I think I've touted that for the last 2 or 3 weeks and it's not happened yet. So I don't think Paul McGinn was terrible.
You'd be looking probably at a change of formation there as well, wouldn't you? Probably to a flat back 4. Which I think could work. But yeah, I don't fancy. I think if everyone else in that team's going to play with a flat back 4, you're probably looking at a flat 4-4-2. And I think that might be a recipe for a disaster against Rangers midfield 3. I think personally.
Sorry, just 1 point in.
No, on you go, mate. On you go. I made the gesture for you to go.
I just wanted to make one point, just because we were talking about the Ibrox, and last time we were there, I don't think we could even name a full bench substitutes. I think I'd only something like 5 subs, and Craig Sampson was one of them. Whereas I looked at the bench on Monday night, and this point's been made to death. I think the guys in the long bangers talked about it as well. But the bench now, there's so much depth. There's some real quality that can come off and come on and change the game. And actually, if we do get slightly leggy towards the end, because we're playing a high intensity game, we've got options on the bench that he'll not be afraid to bring on, and he might even be thinking about, because of the way he's played against them in the last game, might even be thinking about bringing Darren McGregor back in as well, because his performance against them last time was nothing short of outstanding.
And they got stood on. Oh no, was it Porteous that he stood on? No, he stood on Kamara, sorry.
Chucked him over that fence.
Greg, well, same question to you. What would your only change be in goals? Does Messi keep his place? I do think Jack Ross has pretty much confirmed that Marciano will be back in goals at the weekend.
To be honest, I want to see Paul McGinn drop, and I've been saying it for a while now. I'd play a 3-5-2 and put Darren McGregor in there. So a back three, Poachers, McGregor and Hanlon. Boyle right wing back and Doig left wing back. Same midfield 3 and same 2 up top. But yeah, I think, to be honest, Paul McGinn is now really struggling for confidence. I think he looks like a man who's out his depth. He looks like
out of form maybe, but I wouldn't say he's out of depth. Come on.
I just feel like he's not
the same. Down very quickly there.
He's not the same Paul McGinn that has been so consistent for us all season. So I think maybe I would drop him. Also, I don't see the issue with bringing McGregor in and being more physical with him. Morelos hates it when people are physical with him. He's like a petulant child. So yeah, I think
my worry would be with that would potentially be, so Rangers obviously play the sort of tight front three, and I think in both games what we've done against them pretty well. The first 2 games of the season anyway. At Easter Road and at Ibrox, we pretty much with their 4-3-3 and our 3-5-2, we almost went man for man in terms of wing backs to their full backs, and the defence pretty much took. I don't feel that confident with Ryan Porteous at the right hand side of their three, or Darren McGregor at the right hand side of their three to deal with Ryan Kent. It would be a worry for me. Porteous came on in the last game against them off the bench, and did he go to the left hand side of the three and was caught sleeping and played them on side? Like, I don't like either of them at the right side of the three. I think they're both suited to be in the middle of the three. I just maybe a bit rash, maybe not quick enough. Just that would be my one worry. I agree. I don't think Paul McGinn is playing at the same level that he maybe had done in his maybe first year as a Hibs player. But that would be just with him having that sort of fullback experience, more used to dealing with wingers, he would maybe get the nod for me probably in this game at least. Liam, what do you think about that? Do you think that would matter as such, or do you think if Jack Ross wants to play Darren McGregor, then play him and you deal with Rangers on the day sort of thing?
I'll be honest, I've not seen enough of Porteous at right centre back in a 3 to make a judgment on it. I'm also not, I always caveat everything I say, but I've never played football at any level whatsoever, but I'm not sure that's a specialist enough position to warrant being worried about someone playing on the right of a 3 versus someone playing on the right of a 2. I know that you're probably expected to carry the ball more and you're expected to play it out from the back more, but I think that's something that Porteous is quite naturally good at anyway. I think his passing could be improved upon, but I think actually naturally he's quite comfortable taking the ball out. So I don't think it's something that would overly worry me. And I think if McGregor was going to come back in, it would definitely be into the centre of the 3 defenders. I don't think there'd be any option for putting him out on the right. But no, it's tricky.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
The biggest worry for me is that I feel like Porteous' biggest weakness is one-on-one defending, and I think if he gets, I think we've seen it against Motherwell at home and Hamilton away, the 2 that stick out in my mind. He's been right down near the corner flag and got done really easily. And I just feel I think when you play as a 3 at the back, the defenders are prone to getting dragged out, and just Porteous up against a Hadji, a Kent, and a Rebo that have got good feet, maybe would just worry me a wee bit. But again, I don't think it's a bad option. Nothing to be too drastic, but I would probably just go for Paul McGinn. So really, for me, my only change would be Marciano. Just on the goalkeeper situation, would you continue to play Messi in the Cups, at least against Stranraer, or do you think we've seen the last of him until potentially next season if he signs a new contract?
Depends what Jack Ross wants to do with him. If Jack Ross wants to keep him next season, then it leaves you another headache. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one because
I feel like the writing's probably on the wall a little bit. I think if Macy's going to be dropped for Sunday's game, I think Marciano comes back in for the cup games as well. But maybe if there's some dead rubbers at the end of the top six, he might play those.
Fingers crossed, innit? Speaking about dead rubbers, going toward, if we're going to get any dead rubbers before the end of the season, Aberdeen are going to have to lose a couple of games, I'd imagine. If they went to St Johnstone on Saturday, does their result, whether that be a win, draw, defeat, would that potentially impact on how we need to approach the game on Sunday? So say Aberdeen go and get beat by St Johnstone and we're still 7 points clear, do you think that should get, would you expect Hibs to go and play at Ibrox with a freedom and really go and try and get the win? Whereas if Aberdeen were to maybe pick up a more positive result, do we need to be a little bit more conservative because it puts a little bit more weighting on our game? I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I fancy St Johnstone to beat Aberdeen at the weekend, though. I think they'll be going straight on for Cooper at the weekend. I think Aberdeen without Callum Hendry as well, who's the guy who has coincidentally scoring goals for them. I was
going to say, is he suspended, but obviously he's on loan from St Johnstone.
So I fancy St Johnstone. St Johnstone are one of those teams. You always get a team in the bottom six every year who just sneak into the bottom six, but have had to a bit of good form in order to do so, and they end up picking up a couple of results that you probably don't expect them to do. So I think St Johnstone will do that at the weekend. Whether that allows us to play with more freedom, I don't know, because I still think a point at the end of the day is not a disaster. I would love us to go and try and play for 3 points, but if we get a point, that puts us 8 points ahead, which is effectively 9 points because our goal difference is so superior at Aberdeen's. You've got to say if it's 8 points, very hard to see them clawing that back. Really hard to see it.
What about you, Greg? Would you be more gung ho? Would you go, well, we've got 7 points there anyway, let's go and try and batter Rangers, or would you approach it the same way as if Aberdeen have picked maybe up? Or even if Aberdeen won, do we need to go and try and be more aggressive, like to try and get that gap back up to 7? Or do you just think, fuck Aberdeen, look after ourselves?
Or are you going to let me actually answer the question?
Fuck off.
I'm hoping they've still got a hangover for the Open Top bus tour since scoring a goal. Massive achievement for them away to Dumbarton. For me, I don't think we should get carried away. I don't think they'll win at the weekend, but I think we should just play our game. I wouldn't like to see us go gung-ho, to be fair. I don't want to see Rangers win a corner of mind a game 3 or 4-0. So yeah, I would like to see us play our game. We know what the game plan's going to be anyway. We need to stick to that, and do you know what? If we get a point, and it's a point closer to securing third. And if we don't get a point, then we're still however many points ahead. So yeah, I think you go and play our game at the weekend, and you know Aberdeen will take care of themselves.
No bother. That's for me. I think I wouldn't mind it if Aberdeen don't pick up any points on. If Aberdeen don't pick up any points on Saturday, for me, like, go and play with some freedom. It's effectively a free hit, because even if you lose, you're still 7 points clear. Like and Aberdeen would still have to play them. Like Aberdeen would affect on paper, according to the split, they'd have lost to the worst team in the top 6. A game that they should be really, well, they'd probably need to win most of the games to catch us, as long as we didn't entirely fuck it. Like, for me, if Aberdeen lose, then I wouldn't be against us really going and trying to take the game to Rangers. Hopefully we do that anyway. Before we move on, obviously, so Hibs women played at the weekend and the AGM, we'll talk a bit about that. But before we move on, Greg, you said you think Hibs will score more than one goal, and you were keeping it for the score predictions. What you got for us?
2-1, Hibs.
Goal scorers?
No even asked. I think Nisbet and Boyle.
Superb. And Liam?
2 each. Doige, obviously, and Jackson Irvin's finally going to score.
So it's going to be 2 each because Liam doesn't get them wrong.
No, Liam doesn't get anything wrong. Obviously got a score prediction right for the Queen of the South game. Hibee the week, you've won every week that we've done it. You've won Harry's Hibee quiz every time that we've done it. Did you win the one with Lombardos? Aye.
I actually won the quiz last week. I think it was. It's you that's still on nul point.
I'm going to go for 1-0 Hibs. I do think if we're going to win, we'll need to keep a clean sheet, which will be no easy task. Right? But Rangers have had a good season and they are a good team. But why not? I think our goal scorer will be Joe Newell. He's finally going to leather one and it's going to just sail into the top left corner and I will be losing my ship and all will be good in the world. However, unfortunately, all was not great in the Hibernian women's world on Sunday. We obviously spoke with Rachel Boyle and Dean Gibson last week and they were looking forward to the restart. Greig, obviously, they fell to a rather uninspiring 2-0 defeat to Spartans at the weekend. Big game this weekend against Motherwell because following the Motherwell game, we play the 3 Glasgow clubs in Glasgow City, Celtic and Rangers back to back after that. Just how disappointing do you think disappointed Dean and the team will be with that result at the weekend?
I think they touched on it, that obviously whatever happened in pre-season. I think they are struggling a bit now. They badly need a win. I think they beat Motherwell 6-0 at the start of the season. Yep. They could do with something very similar at the weekend. So, yeah, I think, if I'm honest, the pressure's on Dean at the moment to produce. So,
Liam, did the result surprise you coming in? Obviously, Dean and Rachel did sound quite confident going into the season and looking like they were looking forward to it. Although I noticed that we only had 4 subs, so I think the squad is fairly depleted right now.
Aye, the result surprised me, I think, because I think we sounded like we edged at the first half. I think the sound things we were the better side. But sometimes when you've edged the first half and then you will go behind, it becomes that bit harder to get back into the game. And yeah, I think some of the noises were kind of mixed that we were getting from Dean and Rachel last week. There was definitely a lot of enthusiasm there, but I think there was also a bit of realism kicking in just around the squad and the depth that they've got to play out between now and the end of the season. So I think it's going to be, looks like it's going to be quite hard work for the rest of the season. Motherwell game takes on massive importance because those 3 games coming up after it with the form that those 3 sides are in, it's going to be really, really difficult, I think, for them. So fingers crossed they can get a result against Motherwell and that can spur them on to better things in the coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched tried to watch some of the game on Spartan's feed. I don't know if either of you caught it. Jesus, the boy, whoever was in control. So obviously it was really windy and rainy, and obviously there's not the most investment in the women's game. But they had a camera and they had a commentator. But the boy who was there in the camera just obviously never knew a camera had zoom before in his life, because he just was constantly full zoomed into the pitch, and all you could actually see at times was the ball. Like you couldn't actually. But then I watched the highlights on the new sports scene show, and the goals were fairly avoidable. Especially, I think it was the second one. We're trying to play it for the back, and Joelle Murray takes a heavy touch and just gets absolutely punished. And to be fair, it's a really good finish for the edge of the box, but it was disappointing. And Dean in his post-match interview, I think, sounds like he had posed a few questions to just how much did we sort of want it after going a goal down. That we sort of chucked it a wee bit. So let me say, hopefully we can pick that up next weekend with a positive result against Motherwell. So none of us were able to attend the virtual AGM today because of work commitments, but some of the key notes, I guess, would have been Ron Gordon sort of said beforehand to the media that it wouldn't surprise him if maybe 1 or 2 in Nisbet, Doig and Porteous. I think he said 1, and then probably worst case scenario 2 were to leave in the summer, but it would be very much on Hibs terms. all the stadium improvements and down at the training centre are ongoing. New pitches getting installed at Easter Road and at the training ground as soon as the season's over. Season ticket prices are going to be frozen going forward into the new season. And John McGinn's selling fee's been finally confirmed. It's 15% with 30% of that going to St Mirren, which pretty much equals 10% to us. And then Jack Ross made a few comments around what he would like to see improve in the squad and stuff like that. What have you made of the noises coming out of the AGM? Obviously, I said none of us were able to attend, unfortunately, but Liam, it's all very positive coming out of the club just now.
It is, and I love AGM day because I'm a bit of a geek and I like getting wired into all the content and finding out what's been said and listen to all the promises that have been made. I've still not had any of Ron's Mexican burritos that I was promised at Easter Road because we've been locked at the stadium. That was the thing that I took away from last year. So looking forward to trying them when we're back. But no, I think the key things you've highlighted the key points. I think the McGinn selling, which has been there's been a lot of speculation about it the last couple of years. So good to get some clarity on that. Good to get some clarity on future transfers in terms of outgoings as well. You know that we are still a selling club. We will sell, but it'll be for the right price and it'll be when it suits us to sell rather than being dictated to by other clubs. So I like that piece. Good to hear about the kind of stadium improvements that are on the go. I think Graham Matthews talked about this a few times now as well. It's just that sort of 16 to 18-year-old kind of age bracket that we've got in our squad, which I think there's a lot of promising talent in there. Ethan Laidlaw, Murray Johnson, Josh O'Connor, obviously. There's a lot of talent there that could make the first team squad and actually could probably step up to the first team squad over the next couple of seasons as well. And we all just love to see young Hibs fans or young guys from the academy playing for the club, and that gets me excited. And obviously stuff about the new CEO as well. So potentially an announcement in that space in the next kind of 30 to 45 days. So a really tough act to follow in Dempster because I think she did a really good job running the club. Really good job. But hopefully, trusting Ron and the rest of the board to make the right decision about that person. But no, it's all really positive stuff at the AGM today. Certainly more positive than kind of years of old. But I think that's just a sign that the club is being relatively well run at the moment.
Absolutely. Greg, obviously Jack Ross spoke a fair bit at the AGM as well about maybe questions posed to him about the squad and what he wants to do going forward to the squad, and he made a couple of interesting points. So Liam mentioned one of them around the positivity around that sort of 16 to 17-year-old bracket, but maybe there's a bit of a gap between the 16 and 17-year-olds and then maybe the sort of 18, 19, 20 stage where we've not really got anyone at that age in and about the squad just now, other than Josh Doig. But Ron Gordon also said that the Scottish market is so much more attractive now to English people because of Brexit, and that's how we've seen Ethan Laidlaw and Murray Johnson linked with moves down south, and I think they seem like they're going to go ahead, which is going to be even more money coming into the club as well because they're going to go for a fairly good compensation package. But Jack Ross spoke about he would want to see some slight improvements in the squad in terms of maybe up front and on a left-sided midfielder, like left-footed midfielder, but also something that you mentioned earlier, goals from midfield, something that you felt maybe Joe Newell could have done more of, but he did reference Kyle McGuinness as an option there. Would they be areas of the team that you would be wanting Hibs to improve on going towards next season? Or do you think there's maybe be other priorities?
I think the priorities are centre-half. For me, it has to be, I think, we're at two ends of the extreme. Poaches is young, and the other three centre-halves we've got are over 30. So there's a big gap in the middle that we've not filled, and this is a problem. So for me, I think a centre-half is crucial. I think a left midfielder, absolutely. I'm not really seeing a lot of Jimmy Murphy lately. Up front, I think you can always try and add more goals to the squad, especially if you're going to lose Nisbet. I think we all want McGuinness to do well. I think that's a recurring theme. He's one of those players that's exciting. He's young. He's got goals in him. It's just keeping himself fit long enough to get around the team. And it's unfortunately he was fit and then he got COVID. So I think looking ahead to next season, mainly centre half and out wide. And if we sell Nisbet up front, areas to improve. So yeah, there's certainly work to be done.
Yeah, and just one final thing that obviously came from the AGM today is it looks like there's been an agreement made. I don't know if this is just between Hibs and Sky or if it's been all the clubs and Sky, but the sort of pay-per-view option is going to continue next season. Because obviously Ron Gordon sounds really hopeful about at least getting some fans in right from the start of the season, and I think he sort of said maybe even towards the end of this calendar year, hopefully being back to normal. Obviously, vaccine permitting and stuff like that is a bit volatile now. I mean, it could change overnight. He did reference higher, like maybe getting some better production around about Hibs TV and maybe some better social media content. And as much as we might not like it, because we do this podcast now, we are considered like Hibs fans content. It's weird, but we are. That was something that was maybe promised in last season's, the current season's season ticket campaign around this extra content and stuff. Moving into like we're in 2021, how important do you think that engaging stuff on social media is, Liam, for supporters? And I think there's going to be again more incentives promised in this season ticket package.
I think for the generation that's the generation below mine, so slightly younger generation, I think it's massive.
That includes me.
That includes me.
I don't think so, lads. Sorry. I think it's really important for that generation in particular. But I think it's important for fans generally to feel connected to the club. And I think the quality of some of the social media and the match this season has been all right for the first track. Some of the guests have been good. I think the overall quality of the production has been okay. I think my major bugbear with it is you're about 90 seconds behind the actual game in real time.
Yep.
So if there was any way they could close down that 90-second gap, that would be good, because generally I know we've scored before I see it.
Conceded, Liam, don't forget conceded.
Or conceded. Well, the Dundee United one was a prime example.
It before it's happened.
Aye. So no, I think the quality's been good. Could it be improved? 100% it could be. So I'd like to see us put a bit of energy and a bit of investment into that side of things. I think the season ticket campaign this year is going to be the hardest season ticket campaign in history. We talked about kind of maintaining the numbers of sort of 12,000, 13,000. I think that'll be really difficult for the club in the current environment, and not being able to make any real promises or assurances about when we're going to be back in as well. I know the club dangled that carrot last year of extra opportunities and extra bits and bobs, and there's been a few giveaways and a few competitions, but if I'm being honest, I've probably not felt as though I've got value for my season ticket, particularly because I got upgraded and thought I'll get nice fancy seats in the East Stand right at the very top this season, get the kind of gold tickets, and I've not got anything I wouldn't have got if I wasn't sitting in a mould seat in the famous 5. So to be honest, I think the club can do more.
I think they did. I think last season, for this time last year for this season, they did say like, "Oh, guarantee your seat for the following season." Yeah, but that's what a fucking buying a season ticket does. It means I get first choice. Like, I felt like at the time they just really promoted the things that always happen with a season ticket, but they did then dangle the carrot of free Hibs TV, which we're going to put content on. There's not been anything on it. There's not been on the YouTube channel. Like, they dangled the carrot of the monthly giveaways for season ticket holders and stuff, and I don't think I've seen anything about that. I think I've seen, is it the inside the box or something, or outside the box, but that's totally separate. It's not something to do with your season ticket. Oh no, that's the interview thing. There's I think you can win Josh Doig signed top or something like the now. But I don't think it's
prime opportunity for you to promote Ali and Lewis again, your mates.
But this is like, for me, like, and I'm part of a family of 4 that all have season tickets, and we're paying. Again, none of us grudge it, but it's been a lot of money to put out, and I think I just hope that anything that they promise this season in the season type campaign, that we do just see that little bit more interaction from the club. It's been the only sort of downside to this season, we're not being able to go. It has been very much just a Hibs are a Saturday thing, not so much a during the week thing. And we've seen it at points during the season when we've seen Martin Boyle leapfrogging hedges and launching snowballs and stuff. And that's the sort of things that people like to see when the team are doing well, not so much when the team are doing wrong. Because Greig, as you remember fondly, I think we lost the game after Martin Boyle leapfrogged the hedge. And
it was all because Martin Boyle was throwing snowballs. Yeah, it's disgusting the way that he was in it.
Greg, just Liam mentioned about the season tickets. How important do you think third place and hopefully either ourselves, Celtic or Rangers win the cup, and you've got that European carrot? Do you think that would see a surge in season ticket numbers?
I think it should. I think anything the club can do to promote season tickets more, whether it be the empty promise of extra content that was emptier than empty, that would be brilliant. But yeah, look, I think you get Europe. Of course, season tickets are going to surge. I think people have maybe found that they've missed the football a lot more than they thought they would. People will want to commit to that.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, look, it's not just me and my granddad that go. There's a whole family affair, a lot of friends in that. There's about 10, 12 of us that sit up in the Prawn Sandwich Brigade stand. So
you just said that, sign ever.
yeah, I can see it coming.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
But yeah, I think it was a good start for the pay-per-view stuff for Hibs. I think it's a good foundation, but without naming names, we would like to see change. I would like to see a bit more done during the week as well, just to kind of get folk maybe more up for the game at the weekend. You know, people maybe aren't as engaged because you're not there, so you don't really feel like as involved. So extra content during the week would be brilliant. So if anyone's listening,
just get us in. We'll just get us in, and we'll go and do something.
Honestly, the match would be so much better with us three and Harry. 100%. We'd have Gary O'Connor on every week, talking about fucking Greg's in that. So
you wouldn't have any of us doing a great Matthew and saying I can't possibly comment on that. We'd be going in two-footed.
None of that. None of that.
Smashing on the window that's behind.
They had him on probably the worst performance of the season as well, which was perfect timing.
It's just that it was the last minute winner, wasn't it?
And you can tell that it was Livingston at home.
Was it Livy at home? Was it? Aye.
And you can just hear Gary O'Connor before it cuts on him. He's giving him pelters like this is fucking shite. So, do you know what? That was the only time I laughed during that game was when Gary O'Connor was on. So we need to get him on every week just in case.
Just in case the on the field stuff doesn't go so well, they need to be better prepped to cheer everyone up. So at least you go away with a smile on your face. But Absolutely. Anyway, before we wrap up, Liam, you tend to win all of these things, so try and not pick the obvious. Hibee of the week. I don't know if there is an obvious one, but if there is, please steer clear. Of course, there's an obvious one.
I'm going to just keep taking the obvious ones when they're out there. I think we've waxed lyrical about him already, and Greg's done all the promoting that I need to do for him. I think it's got to be Joe Newell for his performance.
I'm going to sneak in now and say Christian Deutsch, because I'm thinking with the 2 goals, it's got to be. And can I just say, what an enunciation of fuck off that Welsh superhero has. Did you pick that up when he's put the cross in and he's in the first half? No, and it was one of many times that Liam McLeod had to apologise for the language, and Deutsch is he's just rattled across into the side net, and he just went, oh fuck off, and it was just top notch, 10 out of 10 on the fuck off scale. Greg, who's your Hibee of the week?
Well, you've not left with anyone, have you?
Well, Irvin had a good game. Boyle had a good game. Josh Doig had a good game. Paul Hanlon got paid
as well.
Voting for Gogic. My feelings on Gogic have been made clear throughout the season.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I think Irvin's a good shout. I'll take Jackson Irvin because that was an improved performance, shall we say.
Are you disappointed that we've not heard anything more about his contract situation?
He's in no mad rush, it seems. According to him, he came out and said he was in no mad rush, which I'm glad he's not in a mad rush. He can take things nice and slow, but we can't really afford to. As soon as third place is confirmed, I'm expecting a 4-year contract signed. So
I think there'll be.
Glad he's not rushing it out.
I think we were speaking about this obviously the other week. I think there'll be an understanding of if we finish third with guaranteed group stages, this is what's on the table.
Yeah.
This is what's on the table. This is what's on the table, and we'll see. Take it from there.
I felt like the Hibstop pod interview. I don't know if you guys have listened to that yet, but I felt like the question. So they asked him the question straight up, and he pretty much, the noises he was making were really quite positive. So credit to them for just having the gumption to ask the question. But certainly the noises he made were positive, and I don't know when that was recorded, maybe a week or two ago. But my inclination is if we get third and we've got European football, I think he stays. I think he is no hurry. It's just a typical Australian. They're just so bloody relaxed about everything. It's like, do it tomorrow, mate. So fingers crossed he gets it signed.
That was I like that, by the way. Look, I think what you know from Jackson Irvine is that he didn't play football for 10 months because he was like, I think that he said to Hull, and then I think there was championship teams sniffing about, so he sort of delayed. And then the pandemic hit, and then he's ended up at Hibs. So yeah, I'm not expecting anything to be done in a mad rush, but I'm fairly confident that if we finish third and the Scottish Cup goes our way, that I don't look. If I'm honest, if the group stage football is not guaranteed, I don't think he'll be a Hibs player next season. If I'm being honest, I do think that's quite a carrot that you can dangle. And I don't expect it to be a long-term deal, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm confident in the club. All the positive noises that we spoke about, the club will offer the best team that we can. And if the player wants to sign it, the player will sign it. I'm not whether he signs it and it's another year. If he signs it and it's a 1-year deal, then for me it's the best we can offer. If he doesn't sign it, then it'll be like an off-year Marciano situation. Say, well, we offered him it. I don't know what else we.
I think that's always the best vehicle to selling season tickets as well, is to get the best players tied down on long-term contracts and sign attractive players in summer that fans want to come and see play. If you sign the right kind of players in the summer, we'll sell the number of season tickets we need to sell. I think it's as simple as that. That's how it works. That's how you engage fans. We talked about content earlier on. I'd far rather see us sign Jackson Irvine to a 3-year deal than put out YouTube videos with guys in Edinburgh taxis driving about the town. To be honest, just my preference.
That was a good video, that though.
It was good, but
you can see the headline already if he does sign. Jackson's committed for next year. Are you committing? Type thing. So we've seen that before.
Get you in the marketing team.
We've seen it before. This isn't new to us, but yeah, I think Jackson Irvine with a full pre-season under his belt will be a totally different animal to what we've seen this season. If I'm honest. Absolutely.
Well, I think we'll leave it there for this week. Thanks very much once again, lads, for joining us, and thanks for listening. We'll be back it'll be out Monday night, Tuesday next week. We'll be back to our normal Monday night slot. Obviously been a bit delayed this week, but thanks a lot for listening. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.